Take it away, Will.
All right, hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the TRCA's Active Transportation live stream. My name is Will Kinahan, and I'm an education assistant with the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority. Today, we're going to be going through this lovely neighborhood as we make our way to school. We're going to be walking because it's a type of active transportation. Now, as we get going, I'll be talking about some of the benefits of active transportations and some of the struggles we might have to address before starting. As a bit of fun, we're going to put 3 bingo sheets in the chat right now. So you can go ahead and pick one of those if you'd like to play as we walk today. So let us know in the chat if you get 5 in a row. There you go. There's some on screen right now. While we're walking, you can also pop any questions you might have in the chat. We'll try and answer them as we go on our walk. I might have a hard time seeing them, but my colleague Rachel will be flagging and answering questions in the chat as we go along. Now, it's important to know that there might be some barriers for you. That's okay. We're going to be talking about some possible solutions, both personal and communal, to the hurdles that we're facing. We're also going to show off some resources that you can use to create landmarks and have a bit of fun when you're first starting out. So without much further ado, let's get started. All right. So as we get moving, as we're walking out today, so it's important to know to what active transportation actually means. So active transportation is when you use people power to move from one place to another. That could be biking, skateboarding, rollerblading, wheeling, scootering, and walking, or whatever else you can do when your own body is what's moving you. So which of you guys used to get to school? So we're going to toss a poll in the chat right now. And we also have a straw poll if you can't access that. So things like cars and trucks, they're not forms of active transportation, but passive. So active transportation has a bevy of benefits. So personal benefits include an increased aerobic capacity, some improved acuity and focus, an informed awareness of the environment, as well as independence. There's also benefits to the local community. Active transportation can help reduce traffic congestion, improve air quality, and have a global impact by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So right now we've reached this parking lot, and we're going to talk about the first downside. So many kids are going to need to take at least some forms of passive transportation. If you live very far from school, or there are no safe routes from home, driving in a car might be your only option. In that case, you might be in a busing zone as opposed to a walking zone. If that's the case, you're probably going to have a much harder time using active transportation generally. So a 20-minute drive could easily transform into a 2-hour walk, depending on the path infrastructure that's been built. And, asking individuals to simply change their behavior when the system is set up to resist that change is a pretty big ask. That said, you do have an option for folks living in the busing zone. The solution is what we call Drive to 5. So the premise is that the trip is split into 2 sections. The first section, you drive to a drop-off point approximately 5 minutes away from the school, like this parking lot. The second section, you use active transportation to move for that last little bit. This allows students to reap the benefits of active transportation while minimizing any inconvenience that it might cause. It's also a pretty modular solution. People who find the 5-minute walk a bit too short can make it a little bit longer. And if the 5-minute walk doesn't have any safe options or safe routes, you can take a shorter distance. That's safer. Now, distance isn't the only roadblock. People with mobility issues and disabilities have more limited options for transportation. For certain mobility aids, infrastructure may not be as ubiquitous as it ought to be. As a result, it will take a little bit of planning and scouting to engage in active transportation. Now, that said, many pedestrian paths are accessible. Wheelchairs, crutches, and canes can be used on them without much difficulty. With some forethought, routes to school can be planned. So use of the infrastructure in places encourages governments and community members to improve and expand on the existing infrastructure. Not only does it help those with disabilities, it also helps others. Seniors who have difficulty moving benefit from the light exercise, and able-bodied people suffering an injury can also benefit from ramps and wider walking paths. Now, we're going to show you guys a little bit of a video of us using the stencils that you guys might be able to see as a way of landmarking your routes to school.
You're looking to make your community more active transportation friendly. Now, before we head out with our chalk and our stencils, there's going to be a couple things we need to know. So follow me and come on over here. Be sure you're using a safe sidewalk and pick a route that is commonly taken to school. Make sure that you have your teachers or adult supervision while doing this. If you look here, well, I found a nice little spot, it looks like it, right here. What do you think about it? It's good? Definitely not. We can see that I'm in a parking lot here. Parking lots, driveways, or other laneways should not be chalked on. Let's think about another place that might be really good. Come on over here. I think I have another spot that might work really well. Now that I found a safe spot right here, what do you think about it? Yeah, definitely. This is a great safe spot. It's on the way to school, and students use this path all the time. I'm going to place both stencils on the ground, and I'm going to get ready to start coloring them in. Oh, I just got to make sure it's the right way. Perfect. I'm going to use my chalk that I have here. Now I'm going to color in within the lines of the stencils. I can use different colors, and I can be creative with it too. It's definitely a lot of fun. I can work with a partner. One person can hold the stencil while the other colors in. Don't worry about using different colors too. If I need to do any touch-ups afterwards, I can always do that. Don't worry about being perfect. You can be creative with this too. Remember, it's for you and the community around you to interact with the space in regards to active transportation and getting to school safely. We have 3 different stencils. As you saw, we have the squirrel, we have our butterfly, and we also have this frog one too. We're going to demonstrate how to use each of these. Now you can see here I've done lines in different ways. Be creative with it. It doesn't have to be one just straight line. Come on, follow me. We're going to follow the line all the way to the end towards the acorn, just as squirrels do, collecting their acorns. I'm going to become a butterfly at our flutter one, and I'm going to fly just like a butterfly and collect the flower, which should be at the end. That was my error. And then the last one that we have is our frog, and we're going to hop like a frog. And it's super fun, hopping along our stencils. Thanks for watching, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this video. We're looking forward to seeing what you can create for your school community and the community around you. Now get out there and start using those stencils.
Awesome. Thanks, Will Sorley. So we showed off some stencils right there, some way to get some great art. And we talked about some of the obstacles and downsides to active transportation. So now let's talk about some of the benefits you might get. So are there any benefits that people in the chat can think of to moving in the morning instead of driving? Give you guys a little bit of time to think about that as we approach this lovely foresty here. Well, I can list them off in the meantime. So mentally, early in the morning, when you're crawling out of bed, if you're anything like me, you feel sluggish and exhausted. You know, waking up is pretty exhausting. You know, driving in a car actually helps put you back to sleep. Now, studies and scientists have looked into why this might be, and they kind of guess that the vibrations of the engine are actually kind of lulling us back to sleep. Now, you can kind of think, for the parents in the audience, when you're driving around with a baby in the back, they fall asleep pretty quick. As we grow, you know, our bodies are better at staying awake, but we still get tired from those kinds of vibrations. Now, exercise has the exact opposite effect. Physical activity activates our brain. More blood gets pumped to it as our hearts beat a little bit faster. Now, as our brains improve, so do the rest of our bodies. Our muscles get stronger, our breathing and lungs get more fresh air, and oxygen from our lungs gets pumped around our body by our heart, which improves with the practice it's getting. Our movements become more efficient the more we exercise, and as a result, exercise becomes easier the more we do it. Now, the most immediate benefit to the environment is the air quality. Cars release dangerous compounds in their exhaust that make it harder to breathe normally and can lead to chronic damage to our health and to the environment. Not only does driving not improve our breathing, it actively makes it worse. Now, carbon dioxide is also a product of exhaust, and it has the furthest reach and is responsible for the whole planet getting a whole lot hotter. It hurts wildlife and humans all over the world in a lot of extreme different ways. Weather becomes more erratic, storms get stronger, floods start popping up in some areas and droughts in others, soil erosion, food shortages. Excessive carbon dioxide is absolutely devastating. When we choose active transportation, we get rid of the majority of it. And the more we do it, it gets better for ourselves too. Now, the next big compound we get rid of are nitrous oxides and sulfuric oxides, also known as NOx and SOx. Those cause smog and acid rain. That kills plants and hurts humans by making acid in our eyes and lungs. Particulate matter is also produced by car exhaust, causes cancer in animals, which include us humans, and prevents plants from extracting the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, making global warming even worse. The only way these compounds get released is if we drive. If we're performing active transportation, carbon dioxide is the only compound, and it's 50 times less than it would be if we were driving. All right, so as we are about to hit this little roadway here, we're going to transition to our friend Sabrina Davidson, a coordinator with sustainable transportation in the town of Caledon. And she'll be giving us some information about new trails and cycling routes you can use in the coming year. Take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Sabrina Davidson and I'm the Sustainable Transportation Coordinator at the Town of Caledon. First off, we'd like to thank the TRCA for the opportunity to highlight some of the wonderful cycling and pedestrian facilities that Caledon has to offer. This year we added 120 kilometers of brand new cycling routes in Caledon and increased total cycling routes to 200 kilometers. So now's the perfect time to get out on your bike or on the trails and explore Caledon. We also recently installed a pedestrian and cyclist traffic counter along the Etobicoke Creek Trail. This type of data collection is important to us as it helps us understand when and how our trails are being used, which will ultimately inform us on future trail demand. And speaking of trails, we'd like to take this opportunity to highlight Caledon's beautiful recreational trails and spotlight the Caledon Trailway. The Caledon Trailway is a 35-kilometer pedestrian and cyclist trail that spans the entire width of Caledon, passing through the communities of Cheltenham, Inglewood, Caledon East, and Palgrave. And in case your bike needs a quick repair, we have 3 bike repair stands on the Caledon Trailway. The first is in Cheltenham, west of Credit View, the second in Caledon East, east of Airport Road, and the third is in Palgrave, west of Highway 50. We also have a 4th bike repair stand at Southfields Community Center, and we encourage you to check them out. In June, we partnered with the Region of Peel and Cycle Toronto for another great bike month. This year, 3 safe cycling webinars were made available to all Caledon residents. And this bike month also featured a bike month bingo, with every bingo square encouraging participants to try a new and fun bike-related activity. And finally, we'd like to highlight and thank our Caledon Active Transportation Task Force. Our Active Transportation Task Force is comprised of Caledon community members who are committed to promoting a healthy living through active transportation by working with the town to develop important active transportation infrastructure, including sidewalks, bike lanes, crosswalks, and complete streets. For more information on active transportation in Caledon, we encourage you to visit caledon.ca. Thank you.
All right, we are now joined with Chaya Chengapa. She's the project manager for SNAP projects, and she's going to be answering some quick questions for us about the actions taking place in this neighborhood. All right, so Chaya, how's it going?
Thanks for inviting me over.
No problem at all. So, what is the West Bolton Sustainable Neighborhood Action Program, or SNAP?
The West Bolton Sustainable Neighborhood Action Program, or SNAP, is part of a broader movement of SNAP neighborhoods across the GTA. SNAP program is all about focusing on older neighborhoods, working with a variety of partners and coming together to work on strategic projects that tackle climate action from the ground up. This West Bolton SNAP has been developed in collaboration with the Town of Caledon, the TRCA, and the region of Peel. And it's a comprehensive action plan on neighborhood revitalization. And it brings together or integrates community interests with sustainability objectives. And the overarching theme is to bring people, nature, and places together. So the actions in the West Bolton SNAP have been developed through extensive community engagement and has been approved by the Town Council in 2019.
Oh, awesome. So what kind of initiatives are recommended by the action plan for specifically with active transportation in mind?
Sure. So connectivity, both physical and social, has been the key interest that has been expressed by this community. So building on this concept of connectivity, we designed or co-designed a Trails and Places master plan. And this was co-designed with residents, with educators, students, with the staff of the region, the town, and the TRCA, as well as community organizations. This is really a long-term vision for active transportation, enhancement of our active transportation, and revitalizing destinations in the West Bolton SNAP neighborhood. The walking trail has 4 distinct walks, each with its own set of characteristics and proposed interventions. The cycling routes are more from a commuting perspective, so they will provide prospective cyclists with a fast and direct route to key destinations within West Bolton, as well as Bolton as a whole. Now, the trail plan identifies existing, planned, as well as proposed infrastructure. So this includes new walking paths, new cycling routes, wayfinding and signage, as well as pedestrian crossings. In addition to this, amenity improvements such as rest stations, bicycle repair stations are also included, and any new proposed opportunities for trail connections are identified. So viewers can find out more about these walking trails and cycling routes on our website.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how can interested residents, how can they get involved?
Sure. So interested residents can reach out to us on our, can link to our website. They can also email me or contact me via phone. I think my email and contact information will be provided in the chat. You can also sign up for e-newsletters to keep yourself updated on upcoming events in West Bolton SNAP. But please do check out our website for the proposed actions as well as upcoming events. And we look forward to hearing from you.
All right. Are there any questions from the chat that we can answer while Shai is here? If you have any questions, you can feel free to drop them in the chat right now.
I just had one quick comment, please. Will, before we leave. This year, the focus is on a detailed plan for the Heritage Walk, which is close to downtown Bolton. So this is characterized as an active heritage and culture-driven walk. So do check out information on this walk on our website. Also, the Town of Caledon has implemented a signed cycling route on Harvest Moon Drive. So check this out too. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Awesome. So have we got any questions in the chat at the moment?
Hey, Will, there's no questions yet from the chat, but just a reminder to everybody, if you do have a question, just feel free to pop that into the chat in our YouTube, and Will or Chaya will answer them promptly.
Well, if there's no questions, we're going to keep walking, and we'll answer any questions that might come up later as we continue. So let me get the camera facing the right way again. All right. So, as we continue on, so a common concern is probably safety, and we're about to cross a street right here, as you can see. So we got to make sure we do the thing that we've always learned is we got to look both ways. So let's look both ways. Look safe on that side, and it's looking safe on that side. I think we're good to cross. So a common concern is going to be about the safety for kids walking out on their own. And it's important that we don't leave kids unequipped to address their own safety. So for the first couple of trips, it's probably important that kids have supervision. Parents, guardians, older siblings can really help younger students get to school and learn the route. By following the example set by older peers, children can learn how to stay safe. It's also important that kids are aware of their surroundings. As we walk, there are plenty of things that require our attention. Crossing the street is obviously a very obvious one, with cars coming both ways. Having our head buried down in a phone might actually be pretty dangerous. So having companions to walk with us actually requires a degree of our attention and helps keep us safe to notice some hazards. Now, eventually, everyone is going to be confident enough to transport themselves to school. Now, this sense of independence and allowing them to do so actually will increase their confidence and improve the relationship between parents and kids. This factor can also improve behavior in class by demonstrating a mutual respect and understanding. Once a child is old enough, they might actually be able to lead and take upon the responsibility of leading younger students to school as well. So now we're approaching the school itself. And as you guys can see, we've got some bike racks right over here. I'll look both ways before I cross. And then I'm going to cross. So as you can see, these bike racks are going to be used all throughout the school year by students coming in, using their active transportation. And I hope to see them absolutely filled when September rolls around. Enough that the school is enticed to start installing a few more to make sure that there's enough room for everyone. So as we begin to close in and approach the entrance, I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope you guys have learned a little bit about active transportation and start making the plans for the new school year. Before we sign off, I'd just like to credit the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority for helping put together this presentation. And the project itself was made possible through the financial support of Green Communities Canada and the Government of Ontario. I hope you guys all have a great day. And if there's any questions, we can hang around for a little bit and answer them before we sign off. As we close in on the entrance, that'll be that. If not, I hope you guys all have a great day.